Thank you, Mr. President and members. I'd like to say that I think Senator Chambers, as usual, has taught us in his own way this morning. First of all, for those people who were new and hadn't really experienced Rule 6, whatever it was probably a surprise that we could actually take up time reading an entire bill. And actually, that's the way we used to do every bill. For those of you who don't know that, we did read every single, well, it's maybe questionable whether we read every single line of every single bill, but that was what the clerk was instructed to do. The other thing that Senator Chambers has, I think, gotten through, to me at least this morning, is that you can never be too careful about bills, and it is good to take some time.
And members of the legislature, I'm going to be a little abstract here, because what we saw happen this morning, virtually right out of the gate, I'd never seen happen before. Okay? Doesn't mean it can happen, but that's what you get when you get a senior member with 38 years, however many years he has in this legislature, doing what he does. And anybody else with that type of experience, that's what they can do, and that's what they will do. And I brought up on several occasions, and I don't mean to do this to irk anybody, and I don't mean to do it to sound preachy either, but I think that this is interesting, and it's an interesting time to bring it into the discussion. Do you remember the idea, obviously, that I've thrown out there about how unique our form of legislative government is? And some of the discussion that I've added to that debate is that because of the uniqueness of our form of legislative government, it also creates unique problems for us. The differences between a unicameral and a bicameral are so significant in the way that they conduct business. One of the key differences is the way our rules deal with the legislative form of government that we possess, that we have. Nobody else in the nation has the rules that we have because they don't have what we have. One of the things that Senator Chambers did this morning, and I think it's a lesson for me. I've been here, this is my 5th year here, but it's a lesson for me. I don't mean to deviate, but again, I think this is important. Is using the rules of a unicameral legislature to do a job that a unicameral legislature wasn't created to do. And that is to create a deliberate form of legislative government that George Norris and the folks just didn't anticipate would be a problem. Or lack thereof. They didn't think it would be a problem. I don't believe that. Folks outside this body tell us, move on, move on. You've dealt with death penalty twice. You've dealt with all these other things. Recreational liability, okay, you've done that. How come it took you 8 hours to get this across the finish line? How come it took you 8 hours to get something across the finish line that you got 42 votes on? We were saying it in here. Mike, cloture this bill. Guys, we only have 4 hours in. Sit back, relax, wait if you don't want to get involved. Here's what's happened here today. And I haven't witnessed all of it, but here's what's happened. Senator Johnson has analyzed the situation. He didn't think that he was going to end up being forced into that necessarily, but it ended up happening because out of absolute necessity. He's been forced into that. Senator Shimmick has done investigation. In 2 hours, she's done work and investigation that she might not have thought that she was going to end up having to do when she started the day today on this particular bill. Senator Persh has done investigation. I've heard him talk about it this morning. Senator Langemeyer has done his own investigation.
1 minute.
Senator Erdman just got done, as a member of the Health and Human Services Committee, Senator Erdman just got done adding valuable information about what Section 4 does. We're only on Section 4 of how many sections? To compensate for the lack of to compensate for what we don't have, I don't even know if this was his intent. I really don't. I didn't ask him about it. Senator Chambers walked up to me earlier and said, there's nobody in here, there's nobody listening. I mean, he was almost kind of depressed. I think he really feels like I don't think he's wasting time here, necessarily. I think he felt like this was a legitimate argument or a legitimate thing that he wanted to do. People are creatures of habit. We see the world fly outside right by us. And we come in here every morning and we go, how come this isn't flying? It's not meant to, folks.
Time, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Erdman, followed by Senator Langenmeyer and Senator Persh. Senator Erdman.
Mr. President, I would yield my time to Senator Friend.
Senator Friend.
So now where are we at? Now Mike Friend is up on the floor wasting time, right? The peanut gallery weighs in. There's a point here. When I go to my constituents and I go to the people at work and they say, can't you cloture him? Make Ernie shut up. Right? Have we all heard that? You go door to door. Why can't you guys make him shut up? Well, you know what? I'm going to say something pretty strange right now. And I believe it. You know, this whole session I haven't called the question. I haven't voted when somebody has asked to call the question to do it. Because I think what I've learned, maybe not much, but I think what I have learned out of all the study that I've done and all of the things that people have forced on me in this legislature, what you guys have forced on me, is that we're not meant to do the type of things that I can go do when I go back to the bank. I need something resolved quickly. We get 4 people together. It's not a task force. It's not a committee. My boss tells me to do something. I get the people together and we go do it. That's not what this place is meant. That's not the way this place was meant to operate. And so we're here at 11:45 waiting for Captain Lunch Hunter, and we're trying to figure out why Senator Chambers forced the clerk into a situation where they're going to read an 1,100-page bill. My point is this. I don't think you have to think about it and try to figure that out. I think what all of us can do is go through the rule book, and instead of like some buffoon like me saying, you know what, I can go home and read this, let me put an adjournment motion up so I can get out of here right now and go do something else. That's not what the people elected us to do. They said, friend, go down there and deal with Senator Chambers. Go down there and deal with Senator Carlson and Wallman and Fulton and Hansen and everybody that's out in front of me and the names that I can see. That's what they said. They said, don't adjourn and leave. We're paying you good money to go down there and do your job the way we've designed it to be done. The people have designed it this way. The rules are designed by us. We're representatives of the people. And it's not some big jerk around. I could go on and talk about unicameral, bicameral. I'm not going to do that. You guys don't want me to do that. And so the fact of the matter is there's functionality here. I'm going to promote and admit that I love a unicameral legislature, and I don't think for the rest of the time that I'm here, and I don't know how long it'll be, that I will try to promote the division of a unicameral anymore. And do you know why? Is because I think I can take that rule book too. And I think even if Senator Chambers wasn't here, or Senator Paul's or Senator Flood or any of them, and I can do the same thing that a bicameral was created to do based on my skills as a legislator. And if I can't do that, it's because I'm ignorant or lazy, or I have no desire, or a little bit of all three of those things. The point is, I do have a desire. I think this is a deliberate process. I don't know that I would be in a situation where I would force the reading of 1,100 pages of this bill in the long run. But the point is, I think that there's some purpose here. Mr. President, that's all I had. Thanks a lot.
A couple things that I think need to be pointed out. One is the fact that we need to know what's in these laws that we're going to pass. I think that point is well taken on all members of the legislature. I think it's an exercise in the obvious this morning with the request made by Senator Chambers to have each section read section by section. We need to understand it. If you truly wanted to understand it, you'd probably have to sit down over the past 16 years and visit with the folks that have been a part of this process since LB 193 was passed then, to get to the understanding of why this is being done the way that it is. I think that is time-consuming, but I think it's a healthy part of this process. I will tell you that we've had more discussion on the contents of 463 than we did the bill yesterday. We had a great philosophical debate yesterday. Intent. What do we intend this to do? What do we think this will do? But when it came down to the practical application of what was in the amendment yesterday, nobody would stand on the floor and say specifics. We're getting to the specifics of this bill, section by section. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. Now we're on Section 4. You could probably make a request to the clerk after we get done with these two amendments to read a different section out of order. It doesn't say in the rules that they have to be read sequentially. You could ask him to read Section 60 and then come back and pick up the missing ones that we missed off. And the clerk is smiling because he doesn't want to do that, and I don't think he should. Although we have threatened that he should read the bills on final reading, which would require him to read them sequentially. But this process is designed to allow us to have a thoughtful consideration of the bills before us. Is it harder to have a thoughtful consideration of a bill that's 1,053 pages long than an amendment that's 25 pages long? Yeah. But do we know more about what's in this bill than we do the bill that we voted on yesterday? Yeah, we do. And that bill came up on the agenda at the exact same timing that this bill was put on the agenda. The night before, the only notice people had was that the agenda came out upon adjournment, and it was on the agenda first thing in the morning. This bill was advanced from the committee long ago. Any bill that sits on general file and any bill that's been prioritized has the opportunity to be scheduled. It doesn't matter when that happens.
1 minute.
It's up to the discretion of the Speaker if you read the rules, and at times under the concurrence of the Executive Board. So I think we need to be clear about what is going on here. I think this is an exercise in the rules, and I think that point is well taken. An hour ago, when there were no amendments filed to LB 463, any member of this body could have simply called the question on LB 463, and we would have advanced the bill. Because the motion to read it section by section didn't divide the bill. And the responsibility of the clerk reading it section by section is a procedural process. And within that process, the bill was not divided, so cloture would have been unnecessary. I mean, if the body, in keeping with Senator Friend's comments, was truly concerned about moving on, somebody that was concerned about that could have spoke up and said, we're going to do that. That might have been an atomic option as opposed to a nuclear option, but it was an option that you had. The responsible option that I think we've engaged in today
Time, Senator.
is we've understood what's in the bill, and I hope we will continue to do that when we reconvene. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Erdman.
This is a huge bill. It is a very important bill. One of the things that we need to accomplish is that we need to finish building the house, and then we can always remodel when we're finished. When Senator Chambers started with the discussion this morning, I went over and visited with him at that point in time, and I said, you know, Senator Chambers, one of the things that I've learned to respect with you is that you do make almost every bill in here better. And I think that's what we are accomplishing here this morning. We've had very fruitful negotiations and discussions with Senator Chambers here as the morning has gone on, and I think what the time to do here is today is that we have reached the time when ordinarily we stop for the weekend, and so with this, let me reassure the body as well as those listening and watching in that this is an important discussion, and that in the interim we will, that is the interim of the next several days, that we will all be working together and hopefully will come to a satisfactory conclusion. So with that, Mr. President, I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.